Next, Near. What do you got for
Wow.
us?
I watched um
The
th-
hope of the Western anime community.
yeah, the savior of anime right now. Um
Yeah.
I watched Isekai Suicide Squad, also known as
Yes.
Suicide Squad Isekai. I don't know why
Yes. Yes.
it's translated
That's the
differently.
localized
Like
version, bro. That's
I
the
don't know.
localized version.
I don't know why, but
I like how they didn't translate that isekai to just like other world or whatever
yeah,
it is,
like
another
Suicide
world.
Squad in
They're just
another
like
world.
they just
They're just
swap
like,
the
yeah, it's
number.
this
Yeah,
guy.
yeah,
The Western fans will totally know what that is, right?
yeah. Especially the ones watching this.
Yeah, especially
It's
fucking
ridiculous.
comic book fans. They definitely know what Isekai is. But
Yeah.
yeah. So Suicide Squad Isekai is an Isekai series with the Suicide Squad. Um, it's a very odd series, very strange series. Both tonally and just premise wise. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about, right? Um, but yeah, this is a Wit Studio production.
Yes.
Obviously, there's a lot of money behind this. You know, Warner Brothers property, DC property. Obviously there's a lot of publishers and shit going into this. This is a 10 episode series. Um, this is also having, I think the episodes are like streamed like almost a month in advance on HBO Max or whatever. Um,
Mhm.
so there's currently 5 episodes out, which means it's pretty much half finished already. Which is why I decided to cover it. But yeah, uh, the basic premise is um, Amanda Waller, which is a pretty infamous character in the DC universe, for whatever reason, decides to open a big green portal to another world. I'm not really sure why Amanda Waller, of all people, would be in charge of that, but she is. And they open
Casually.
this, yeah, they open this big green portal to another world, which is implied to have been opened by somebody who's being held captive. Um, and in order to, I guess, um, I don't know, do imperialism on the other world, they send in this they send
Do
in the
yeah.
Suicide Squad
Yes.
instead of like the army or something. So yeah, they get Harley Quinn, who is apparently just the main protagonist of every Suicide Squad series ever from now on.
Yeah, I mean,
Peacemaker,
it's a very obvious like mascot. Yeah,
yeah.
right. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Peacemaker, King Shark, Clayface, which is a strange choice, and Deadshot. Most of these are pretty standard picks for a Suicide Squad series, except for Clayface, which is a really strange choice. Um, they
They needed a handsome dude in a hat.
did they?
Yes.
Okay, you say
'Cause
so.
who else are you gonna put? Captain Boomerang? I mean, that'd be
Um,
funny, but Captain Boomerang wouldn't do anything. So you need a master of disguise. Disguise himself as like an orc or something
yeah,
for
except
in
he
Isekai.
doesn't. He doesn't do that. He doesn't disguise himself at all. So
Yeah.
yeah,
So what does
but
he do then?
he turns into a big clay monster and he punches people.
That's
Yeah,
lame.
yeah. Um, so yeah, they implant bombs in their necks, which I mentioned it to Dark before the podcast, but I'm pretty sure a bomb in Clayface's neck is not going to do anything. I don't think he cares. I don't think he's going to give a shit. But
Yeah,
apparently
like
he
for the
does in
record,
this.
like Clayface has, like he can like split up.
Yeah,
Like he
he's like
doesn't even.
immortal basically.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Um,
Maybe it's a what is it? A molecular destabilizing bomb for him. I don't know.
true. Yeah, maybe Batman specifically made that bomb so they could torture and kill Clayface. Um, But yeah, so they send them into this other world, and shit goes south. Their helicopter crashes. They get captured by the kingdom, and then they kind of have to uh, just sort of hijinks their way through this Isekai world, beating up goblins. There's a sort of rival Suicide Squad that has sort of defected to the Empire, and they have to like fight against them. It's a very goofy story. Um,
Is this
but yeah,
arcs? Is this like
Who's
all
in the
arcs and
other
stuff?
Suicide
What's
Squad?
happening?
so I think it's like a general overarching story. Again, it's only 10 episodes long, so
It's 10 episodes,
yeah, it's only 10 episodes long.
but it's like an
so-
actual full like developing story.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
To be fair, it's quite brisk on the pacing. Basically, just like yeah,
Okay.
they're in the Isekai, they're fighting orcs, and now they have to work with this sort of empire to defeat the other empire, because the other empire has the other Suicide Squad, and that's the only way that they can sort of get back into
Okay.
contact with Amanda Waller. It's very brisk.
Yeah.
But yeah. As for like the enemy Suicide Squad, so far they've shown Ratcatcher, who's dead, and Katana, also known, I think she's also known as Samurai. Um, uh, Also in the OP is the Thinker, and I think they've kind of sort of implied that the Joker is probably on the other Suicide Squad as well.
Okay.
So yeah. As for visuals, audio visuals, again, this is a WIT Studio production, so the animation quality is pretty good. The fight scenes are
Even the
quite
battle scenes?
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Okay.
fight scenes are quite nice. Some of them are a little bit choppy here and there,
Hmm.
but overall the cuts are pretty clean. The choreography is pretty nice. There's a lot of the stuff that Harley Quinn's doing has some pretty nice choreography. Um, you know, a lot of stuff of Deadshot and Peacemaker just shooting orcs in the face, which is a fun thing to watch.
Why
Right?
does King Shark have suspenders, by the way?
Because he's like a big baby in the series. Like he is
Oh,
literally like the mind of a baby.
so they're pulling the Grapes of Wrath kind of thing?
Sure, yeah. But yeah, he doesn't speak too much. Actually, I don't think. I think
Is he supposed to
he's
just say King Shark is a shark?
I think he does speak, right? But he's not like
he said like fucking 4 words so far in
Oh.
like
yeah.
5 episodes. He doesn't speak too much.
Yeah.
Now
But
near.
yeah,
Now near. Let me bring up the most important question I have.
yeah.
Why did they make Amanda Waller hot in quotes?
I don't know. So I don't know what you mean by that.
I've seen comments like, "What damn? Why did they make Amanda Waller so hot in the opening or ending?" And I'm like,
So they didn't really do that. Amanda Waller dances in the ED. I don't think you're really supposed to see that and go, "Damn, that's hot." I think that's more of an indictment on your
Whoever
tastes
said that?
if you
Yeah.
think that.
Whoever said that?
But yeah. Speaking of OP and ED, the OP visually is very good in my opinion. It's got some really nice cuts in it. Song wise, it's trash. It's very bad. It's just kind of like an instrumental, like
Are these like
generic.
Japanese OPEDs or like what is it? Is there like Western band singing it or what's
He
going on?
doesn't know.
Yeah, he lacks critical information. So
He
the
forgot.
the OP song is Another World by Tomoyasu Hote, which is again, it's just like an instrumental like jazz piece.
yeah,
It's kind
there's
of
not
boring.
really
Okay.
any lyrics at all.
Yeah, it kind of just sounds like a PV track, right? But it's the OP.
You think they're trying to go with the um, it's Tank, right? From Cowboy
No,
Bebop, that kind of
no,
thing.
no.
You think they're trying to?
I don't think they are. I think they just went with a generic track because it's on HBO Max, so everybody's gonna skip it. I think that's
Oh,
what
all right.
they were doing. Um,
Not talk about
ED.
talk about the best
No
song
one
in
will
this
skip
season.
on
Best
Yeah,
song of the year.
nobody will skip the ED. Is Go Getters by Mori Calliope.
Best song, right,
Um,
Near?
I think this song is dog shit. I think it's really bad.
God.
The ED visually is
You only
kind of
think that
fun.
because you didn't realize that's a joke.
Yeah, it's just a joke song, bro. The ED visually is fairly fun. Again, it's got Amanda Waller doing some dance moves. It's I will say,
Wait a minute, Near.
yeah,
Is King Shark in this because of Gargura, or is it the other way around?
Of course.
I don't think
That
so,
was the
dude.
inspiration for King Shark.
Yeah,
I
Near,
think King
didn't you?
Shark is in this because King Shark is in the Suicide Squad movie.
Yeah, Near. I don't believe it. Don't haven't you seen the Hololive English version of this where Mori Calliope puts in all of her Gen members into the Suicide Squad Isekai song? Pretty
Yeah,
cool.
I did see that. It was not great. But yeah. I will say besides like the Amanda Waller dancing stuff, it's kind of just like generic.
We got Amanda Waller busting it down sexual style to a Mori Calliope song before GTA 6.
Dude, like,
Yeah, true. We did
Oh, here,
get that.
Here. Check
But
this quote. Check this quote
yeah.
from the actual PV from DC.
Don't like that. I don't like that at all. But yeah. I will say it seems like they kind of were trying to emulate I don't know if you guys have watched the Peacemaker series. But the opening for the Peacemaker series is like an entire like choreographed dance number. And it's really good and really awesome. I feel like they were kind of trying to capture that a little bit, but it comes a bit short. It's not like a full thing.
It's
It's kind
just
of
trying to be the viral hit, right? In order to be viral on TikTok and whatever shorts, you have to have a dance.
I guess, yeah, sort of. But it's not really like a full dance. It's kind of just like Amanda Waller does a couple dance moves and then it does
It has
some.
to be long enough to fit into a TikTok near.
it has to be
Yeah,
long enough to
I
turn
don't think
into a
it's.
Fortnite emote.
I don't think it's long enough for that, to be honest. But yeah. But anyways, the OP and ED are okay. As for the general soundtrack, it's pretty good. I'd say it's got like a jazzy, fun, upbeat vibe. A lot of it's kind of nice. Pretty standard stuff though, overall. The voice cast, I'll go over. The voice cast is kind of insanely stacked for this. Harley Quinn is done by Anna Nagase, who I think is a relative newcomer. She's I guess a bit of an up and comer. She hasn't really done a whole lot. She's got like
Mhm.
a couple supporting roles in like Jujutsu Kaisen. I think one of her biggest recent roles was she was like the female lead in Buchigiri, uh, which I also covered, which was bad. Um, but you know, she
So
does a
near,
pretty good
She
job.
also she also did one of the characters in I think what is it? Freaking wait, Nagase Anna?
Yeah,
Nagase Anna,
Anna
right?
Nagase.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She did some roles recently. I think she did like Kick on Yu-Gi-Oh! Monogatari stuff. I think she probably
yeah,
did the younger voice for that. And then she also did the Unwanted Undead Adventure, like one of the roles there, main roles there. I think Toast covered that one. Yeah.
yeah.
Zoe Bakensha? Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So
But yeah.
So hold on,
Um,
near. Why are you watching it in Japanese? Why aren't you watching it in English?
so I'll go over the English stuff as well. But I do want to go over the JP cast. Peacemaker is Takita Koyasu, which is kind of
hmm
an absolutely fucking killer casting choice in my opinion.
That's
If
Dio, by the way.
Yeah, if any of you have heard his Deadpool dub, he's basically
Oh yeah,
doing that.
that
Yeah,
one's pretty good.
he's basically
Oh,
doing that
really?
for Peacemaker.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
dubbed
That
Deadpool in the anime
Um.
or a different anime.
that's
Yeah.
really good. No, I
Um,
know the Deadpool thing, but I didn't know he voiced Peacemaker like he did Deadpool,
yeah,
which is very
he's doing like a very he does like a very
bombastic,
almost like
flamboyant.
holier than thou, yeah, like very pompous, like I'm doing this for peace and liberty kind of stuff.
Does
He's
he
very good.
try to do like a more macho kind of voice, almost like trying to evoke kind of John Cena vibes, or no?
No, it's overall pretty
Ah,
comedic.
okay, it's a different one,
He
yeah.
is, yeah, he's very much leaning into like this sort of Deadpool-esque character.
Mhm.
And it works pretty well overall. King Shark
Okay.
is done by Subaru Kimura. Um,
Yeah,
Again, he has like 5 words spoken, so no
yeah.
real comment. Clayface is done by Tokiyama Jun. Um, Again, he's doing a
These are a
very,
lot of the heavy hitters here.
yeah, he's
Okay.
doing a
Well,
very sort of
it's money, dude.
flamboyant, over the top voice.
Yeah, it's a good casting. Yeah.
Yeah, very good overall. And then Deadshot is done by Yamaguchi Reigo, who is very much a newcomer. Does
Mhm.
a pretty good voice. And then for some of the more supporting ones, Joker is done by Yurichiro Umehara. I fucking hate the voice he's doing for Joker in this series.
Yeah,
What is he
Uh,
doing?
yeah.
he's doing this very like low, almost like brooding voice for the
Oh,
Joker.
that's yeah, I think that's Umera Yuichiro's main like speed. Like I
Yeah,
think that's almost
yeah,
like that's almost a I think sound director slash directing problem because
probably.
he can probably do other voices, but like that's his most popular voice. I think
Yeah, for those who don't
that's
know,
his Goblin Slayer voice. Yeah.
Yeah,
he's the voice for
yeah.
Goblin Slayer.
Yeah.
He also voiced Weather Report in JoJo.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, but yeah, he's kind of just doing this sort of like,
And he's going low like
I'm
that for the Joker?
yeah, he's doing
Yeah,
this
he's
like,
doing Goblin Slayer voice for the
this
Joker.
this world is sick, and I'm the cure kind of shit, and it's like,
What?
yeah,
Ugh.
it's a
Yeah,
very
I think
strange Joker.
that's gotta be a directorial kind of thing, right? Because
Yeah,
it's
more
like
than likely.
yeah.
Um, and
Now is Joker a goblin? Would he be considered a goblin in the Isekai?
no,
No.
I
Oh,
think he'd be a jester, actually. But yeah, overall the voice cast for the Japanese side is very good. As for the English voice cast, I listened to like a little bit of it. It's okay overall.
Mhm.
You have Tara Strong as Harley Quinn.
of
Shocker.
course, it has to be.
Yeah.
She's been the voice of Harley Quinn for like fucking 15 plus years now. Um, you have Sean Patrick Judge as Peacemaker. Unfortunately, not John Cena. I guess they didn't want to shell out the
The
$10 million for him
monies, yeah,
to
yeah.
voice that.
It's the
Um,
same thing with like the Mortal Kombat stuff,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. He does an okay job, I think. King Shark, Andrew Love. Again, he has like fucking 5 words spoken. Um, Clayface is Brandon Hernsberger. Um, does a pretty good job, I think. Deadshot is Jovan Jackson, who's pretty good. Um, Overall, the cast is pretty good. I think the English sub is okay. It's
Wait, hold on, Near. I'm seeing a different name for Harley Quinn.
Are you?
I'm seeing Carly Hawk. Hawk?
Oh, I don't know. She sounded like they're strong to me, but maybe I'm mistaken. But yeah, maybe they went with a different voice actor. But yeah, I think the English dub was okay. It's pretty. I feel like it's
Why
fairly
isn't John
standard.
Cena Peacemaker, man? That's sad.
Again, probably
You know he'd
because
want to
he
do it.
would. Yeah, I mean, he would probably want to do it, but his agency would probably ask like several $1 million for him to voice this role, which they probably weren't willing to shell out for an anime voice acting role. But yeah. Um, Overall, I think this series is pretty fun. It's pretty tongue in cheek. It kind of like knows that it's a very stupid premise. It doesn't really take itself seriously like at all. There's a lot of comedy, as is typical of a lot of these Suicide Squad stories. Um, I will say I think the only thing I really don't like about this series is the Joker. I hate the characterization of the Joker in this series. I think it's a really dumb take on the Joker where he's like this. Again, he very much seems almost like they're doing like I guess kind of like a cult leader take on him, but his cult is like just Harley. Like he doesn't even have like a gang in this series. Like it's just
It's
him
kind of
and
I feel like Joker is almost being used as just like a throwaway right now. Just be like what because it's like the Suicide Squad is there and they just need something to like fucking crack skulls. Like they need an objective to get at, right? So they're just like, oh, I guess Joker, like fuck it, man. Like because it's like
Man, you
yeah,
because
can't
the
have a
reason being
Suicide Squad without Joker. It's kind of a thing.
yeah,
you definitely can. You
like
You
definitely can.
can, but
yeah, but the
you
thing is
have to
that
throw in
it's like
Joker if you have Harley
yeah,
Quinn.
Joker is somewhere. I think what Toast is saying, like Joker has to be
I mean,
somewhere
that's
within the
also
story
not true.
because that adds like the branding, yeah. Because it's
You
like,
have to
Yeah,
have
I
a
mean,
foil
Harley.
to Harley
I don't.
Quinn.
I don't think that's really true anymore. I think Harley Quinn as a character, and again, this is sort of coming more into like comic books
mhm.
discussion, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think Harley Quinn as a character at this point has sort of garnered a certain lore and a certain characterization that like the modern take on Harley Quinn is very much a woman that has been sort of like abused. Like the typical Harley Quinn story is they treat the Joker as sort of a abusive like ex-boyfriend kind of thing. And Harley
Yeah.
Mhm.
Quinn is now like striking it out on her own. And a lot of a lot of Suicide Squad stories are like Harley Quinn sort of coming into her own as like an independent, like almost anti-hero, right? Um,
Mhm.
like free from the Joker. And I
Is she
think
still a
enough of
psychiatrist
those,
in this?
yeah, of course. Um, I think enough of those stories have been told that the general uh perception of Harley Quinn is pretty independent of the Joker, right? Um,
Mhm.
like the most recent Suicide Squad movie, by James Gunn, literally, I don't think they even mentioned Joker a single time in regards to Harley. Like she was just Harley, right? Um, and I think quite a few of her independent comics have done the same. Um,
Even
you know,
games, I believe, too, right? Like, I'm not
yeah,
sure about
No,
I mean,
stories, but
he
like,
was
I
in
believe,
Suicide Squad Kid the Justice League, so yeah.
what was it,
yeah, but
Arkham Knights? Like,
yeah, yeah.
I think she was also
Um,
implied to just have moved on,
Yeah,
essentially.
she was basically just Harley in that. But I think in the Kill the Justice League one, that's in the Arkhamverse, so she is technically like obviously she has her own past with the Joker,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
in the Arkhamverse the Joker's fucking dead. So like but yeah. I again this was just me harping on the characterization of the Joker in this series. You could say he's like a minor character, but again, I'm almost positive he's going to be like the big bad that Harley's going to have to fight against at the end, um, as sort of like her or like coming into her own sort of story in this. But yeah, outside of that, the this is really really minor gripe, but the character design for Katana in this series sucks. They made her into like this really like almost like a lolly, and it's like
What?
why? Yeah, like she's really young looking, like she's really thin. And it's really strange for that
It's like
character.
they try to make the whole how do I say this? You know how what's that who was that fucking the Asian girl in Deadpool or whatever, right? Where it's like uh the girl who had like the actual superpowers or whatever, right? But it's like she only kind of came out to be like a lesbian couple with the other like exploding girl,
Yeah.
right? The white girl.
Um,
Um
the girl that's always like, "Hi, Wade."
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's
Yeah,
like they want to make a katana like of somewhat like that, but then she was already in like a Japanese anime setting, so then
yeah,
they dialed it up to 10. It's like I think
yeah.
that's like
It's
what they went.
weird. Um,
Yeah.
Also, like, uh, a lot of the suicide, like when they go into like the other world, like they all get like magic powers and shit. Um, and the other
Okay.
Suicide Squad has like these like enchanted weapons and stuff. And for some reason, Katana's enchanted weapon is not a katana. It's like this weird glaive thing. And it's like,
Okay.
what? Like, what are you guys? Like, what are you guys doing? You have a character named Katana,
After
and
weapon.
you don't give
After the
her
weapon.
a fucking enchanted katana. Like, okay, man. Um, but yeah,
Nice.
overall, I'd say it's a really fun show. Um,
Uh-huh.
if you like the Suicide Squad, if you like, I mean, if you like the idea of like Harley Quinn beating up orcs with a baseball bat while she's like
Yeah,
glowing
I
with
had I
magical
actually just
powers,
had one
like
question. Like, I'm not saying like, oh, it's a bad series or like I'm not criticizing it, but I'm a little bit curious as to
who this is for.
like yeah, yeah. It's like if you were, let's say you were the initial guy who thought up like Suicide Squad, or you were one of like the producer director kind of people who were like, okay, we should sell this to the production committee or whatever, right? Or to the investors. So you are there, you're at the meeting with like all the representatives for the different companies, and you're pitching this, right? And they ask you like, okay, like who's gonna be watching this series? How would you answer that?
um, well, if I'm pitching this to a board of directors, I'm gonna
Yeah,
use a lot of buzzwords, like
yeah. All the buzzwords.
how the youth love isekai, um,
Yeah.
and
You're
how
integrating with
many.
a popular Japanese anime which gains all this money per year or
Yeah.
whatever, right?
Yeah, of course. So obviously, the way this was pitched was probably to sort of, uh, in a multi-level sense, increase the sort of brand recognition of
Yeah,
both
globally.
Suicide Squad and DC, in Japan and the East in general, right?
Yeah.
Because comic book shit, like obviously, it's relatively popular, but it's not as popular as standard.
Like anime stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I don't think Batman comics are selling quite as hotly as Demon Slayer manga volumes, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah. Sure.
there's that aspect. And then there's also the global audience being more
Mhm.
into pulling
Capturing some of the
people
anime
who
only
may not
audience.
be
Yeah.
anime watchers into other anime, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
there's also the HBO Max selling points where it's like you get the premiere episodes, so that's selling subscriptions, etc., etc. But in terms of like who the audience is, I do think this is very much like that sort of like bridge building thing.
Mhm.
Getting more Japanese people into the sort of comic book universe, and then getting those comic book people in the West sort of into the anime industry, right?
Do you
Um,
also think that it's partly like it's not necessarily an experiment, but it also serves as a proof of concept similar to Star Wars Visions, where they're doing and they are doing an East-West collaboration, which sounds obvious and when stated. But the point is that this will be one of the proof of concepts, the launching pads for the license holders for like the DCU stuff like that to be like, okay, get we can now utilize Japanese studios to help make more of like because there's plenty of cartoon adaptations, right? Of superhero
yeah.
material. So instead of necessarily just having the Western studios do it and then it being showing up on WB Kids all the time, right? Why don't we just have the Japanese studios do it and then it shows up on Netflix? So it's that sort of transition
Yeah, I
potentially.
think there's also, and this is a this is a bit more conspiracy theory, I guess.
Yeah.
Industry conspiracy theory. Uh, a lot of the Western studios have been getting straight up killed, right? Like
Yeah, yeah,
they're
yeah.
just shutting that shit down.
Just because of
Um,
industrial changes, yeah.
yeah. So it could be that a lot of these bigger brands like Warner Brothers sort
Mhm.
of see, I guess, because the general sentiment for anime in the West has sort of been more that anime is a bit more mature than Western cartoons, right? Um,
Mm.
which is a strange sentiment because it's not really true, right?
Yeah,
A
yeah.
lot of Western cartoons, especially for uh, comic book stuff, very much aimed at adults, right?
Yeah.
Especially with DC stuff. DC has, I think, just in the last few years, they wrapped up basically their own like animated universe saga, which pretty much ended in like blood and gore. Like it was like a dark, uh, it was almost like an endgame thing, but like Superman just straight up kills fucking Darkseid, right? Um,
Mhm.
and so I think the Western sort of brands sort of see that uh, an attitude towards anime in the West as it being like more geared towards an older audience, and while also still appealing to the younger audience. And they're like, well, why bother fucking with these Western studios when we can just work with these anime studios and get this sort of uh, like two-sided branding, right? Like it kind of works on all fronts in their eyes, right? Um,
Yeah, yeah.
When was Batman Ninja? Wasn't that also a Japanese studio?
I believe so, yeah. And
Because
the
there's
Batman,
another one
yeah,
coming
the
out soon.
Batman Ninja series literally just got a sequel like announced like last week,
Yeah.
which looks really good actually. But yeah, I do think Warner Bros is probably pushing a bit more on these Eastern animation studios now, just because the Western animation front is, for all intents and purposes, like being killed off, right? By a
Mhm.
lot of these big
They
corporations.
saw Cyberpunk Edge Runners and they're like, hey, we can do that too.
Yeah, that's also probably a big aspect too, right? Like Cyberpunk Edge Runners was an absolutely fucking massive like commercial success, right? Um, obviously we have our own opinions on that, but um, you know, publishers see that, probably want to emulate that. So yeah, I'm sure that was probably a huge aspect of this. But yeah, again, um, overall, I do think this is a good show. It does its job well. Um,
Yeah, I think like again, I'm not really aiming to like criticize it or anything like that. I was just like,
yeah, I mean,
obviously,
as
I
a
think it's a
project,
good
it's definitely
series. Yeah,
worth looking at.
it's just like what, like whoa,
Yeah, because
okay,
it's
like
a very strange premise. Because
yeah,
typically
It's
a lot of these sort of superhero anime ones, like with the Marvel ones, right? I
mhm.
think there's the Iron Man anime. I think there's like an X-Men anime. I think there was a Spider-Man one too, but I'm not too sure. But a lot of these are kind of just like origin story of the hero, but in anime. And this is just like, what if the Suicide Squad was in a fucking Isekai, right? Like they don't really bother with the origin story.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
kind of just present the characters as is. Um, like they don't even give like, they give like no backstory to
yeah.
like characters like Peacemaker or
It's
Deadshot.
it's
Like
more like they're you know how there are like
if
two
you know, you
parts to
know.
the
yeah,
you
yeah,
know how there are generally two parts to the Suicide Squad kind of thing where it's like the first part is as you said like kind of going through the backstory although like there are like roots of that like there are veins of that all the way throughout the movie but it's like a decent amount of it is like front loaded right
yeah,
um and then like as they kind of gather up a decent amount is front loaded and then afterwards is the romp, right? They're,
yeah.
killing the final boss and they're all just kind of running around it, doing crazy shit. And so I think for this series, especially since it's only 10 episodes, they really tried to cut to Yeah, they're all here, so let's just kill the shit
Yeah,
part.
let's kill some orcs. Let's
Yeah.
do some war. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's overall very fun. It's a pretty
Mhm.
funny show as well. The comedy is pretty good. There's a lot of sort of almost like buddy cop banter between Peacemaker and Deadshot, which is
Mhm.
reminiscent of the movie where Peacemaker was beefing with uh was it Bloodshot in the movie, not Deadshot? But yeah, it's fun. For comic fans, it's definitely an easy recommend. For somebody who doesn't really know comics, it's probably a bit of a trickier recommend. But I mean, if you're at all familiar with Isekai shit, you could probably
Yeah,
just
yeah.
vibe with this. I think.
Yeah, yeah,
If you like the characters, then obviously, you might seek out other Suicide Squad media. Maybe check out
Don't
the
if you're
maybe
movie
generally
or
comfortable with the ideas without being like, "What? Fucking cape shit in my anime,"
yeah,
or
yeah,
even vice versa, where it's like, "What anime?" Although I think the reception has been mostly positive too from the Western side, right? Because it's like a lot of them have been, I think a little bit cheesy, but it's a lot of them have been like, "Oh wow, the Japanese art of animation
yeah.
has really is so advanced and." It has now graced
I think it
the
helps.
fucking Suicide Squad. Yeah,
Yeah, I
and
think
it's
it
just
helps
like,
that this
okay,
show
that's a little
looks
bit.
good.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah,
it overall looks good. It's not like a cheap cash grab kind of thing.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
it helps for the anti-weeb cape shit enjoyers to be like,
Sentiment, yeah, yeah,
maybe this
but
is actually decent.
but
yeah.
near. Is it better than the game?
I haven't played the game personally. I heard the story for the game is okay. But like so for the Kill the Justice League, like for a lot of the bitching I've seen for the Kill the Justice League story, it kind of just feels like butthurt Batman fans, and they're like, "Oh, Batman dies in a Kill the Justice League game?" It's like, yeah, dude, that's the point of the game, so you kill the Justice League, and Batman is in the Justice League, like,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, uh, I can't really comment on whether the characterizations in this are better than the game. Um, I like the characterizations of most of the characters in this. They're very fun. Um, but yeah, I think
This is this is all the Marvel movies' fault. Near
I mean, yeah,
the the happy-go-lucky, zany, what is it, Avengers. They copied that near. They saw that the
um,
Justice League sucked at being zany and popular, so like, all right, well, let's go with the B team, the Suicide Squad. They're more fun, right?
I mean the Justice League. Do you really think they tried to do like zany and wacky with the Justice League? I feel like Zack Snyder's Justice League was very it was trying to be like epic and like cool and
I mean
badass,
that
right? Like
they saw that the Avengers were popular because of this, so they're like, all right, if the Justice League would try to be different and it didn't work, so let's pull in our own zany team, which is the
yeah, I
Suicide
mean,
Squad.
I said this during the
Yeah,
previews, right? That the Suicide Squad was sort of a, like DC's sort of attempt
Answer
to
to, yeah,
capture
Guardians of the
the
is it?
sort
Galaxy.
of Guardians of the Galaxy
Yeah,
fame,
but is
right?
it
Because,
working?
for DC, I think it's working pretty well.
Yeah,
Uh,
relative to the scale that DC is
I
running
think
at right
right now, I think currently the Suicide Squad brand has a better reputation than the Justice League, which is
now.
kind of
Yeah, yeah,
crazy.
Oh
no,
yeah, I
that's
feel that's
100%.
obvious.
Yeah,
They
Um,
made
yeah.
more Suicide Squad movies than Justice League movies.
I think
yeah,
that's
but
more of
only
an
one of them was
indictment on
good.
how the Justice League stuff was run than it
Yeah.
is the more the Suicide Squad
Yeah,
stuff.
I think it's
I
more the
know.
fact that the second Suicide Squad movie was made by a good director, and the Justice League movies were not. So,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
also
yeah.
the Flash
Exactly.
happened. So,
Uh, how
but
God,
could you
yeah.
mess up the Flash?
yeah, overall, I think I'd give this something like a 7.5 probably. It's currently sitting at a 7.04 on Mall, which I think is relatively fair. I'd probably rate it just ever so slightly higher. Yeah, overall, it's
Mm.
a good show. It's fun. It's fairly short with at 10 episodes. It's brisk. Um, again, it's got advanced premieres streaming on HBO Max, I believe,
Mhm.
and I think Hulu as well. So if you want to check that out, do so. I think it's definitely worth checking out.
Alright. Well, all right. So again, oh yeah, what would you rate it, by the way, Nier?
7.5.
Pretty good, pretty solid. Yeah, that was Isekai Suitsu Squad. Again, thank you very much, Nier, for covering this. I know, again, you are uh, the main go-to guy here in this podcast with regards to this stuff. So I'm glad
Keep
you
shit.
helped,
Yeah.
yeah, cover this because it was a very interesting thing, but it was just I like just had no idea how to approach this because it was just out of nowhere. The
Yeah, I
premise
mean, it's
as well
very
was really
strange. It's a
yeah.
very strange project.
Um, but I'm glad that it came out very nicely. So again, this is Suicide Squad Isekai.
Why?
It is an
Why?
anime.
If evil,
Yeah.
why hot? The series.
True.
Yeah. Yeah.
What it is?
Apparently
Goth
featuring a
girls are on
hot
the rise
Amanda
again,
Waller?
right?
Question mark. Yeah.
Right?
It got what over the
Is
horizon?
is Harley Quinn designated as a goth girl near?
No. I think
I
she'd
know
be more
Raven's
of
the goth
a.
girl.
I think she'd be more of a clown girl.
Yeah.
So
Clussy, as
Clussy,
they say.
yeah,
Yeah.
Clussy is in demand again. Hell yeah.
All right. Anyways, this is Isekai Suicide Squad, done by Wit Studio. This is an anime original, obviously produced in conjunction with all of the license holders of the DC universe and Suicide Squad people. Released early on HBO Max, Netflix. I believe the first 5 episodes have been out as of our review. So again, if you do like Isekai kind of Suicide Squad, kind of both, you're comfortable with these ideas in general. I think it's probably a very interesting series to at least check out. Probably just kind of grind through. So